Hey G fans, GojiFan93 here, and I am back to give my thoughts / review of the next MonsterVerse media material, whatever you want to call it, Godzilla Awakening. Now what's actually funny about Godzilla Awakening is it's actually not the first time I've done a review, actually. Way long ago when Godzilla Awakening first came out, I actually did a review on it back in the day, and yeah, it wasn't really the best video ever, but you know, here I am again talking about it. So yeah, this is the prequel graphic novel to Godzilla 2014, and first off, I know that this comic book actually has a lot of inconsistencies and certain things that aren't really like, it's a lot of continuity issues between this book and the actual movie, and I think that's because you know, maybe they were working off of like an older script from 2014, or there were things that just weren't, you know, connected or whatnot, or that they knew to do yet or something. I don't know. But again, I'm not going to be going fully depth into the story. I will again redirect you guys to D-Man1954. He made a video on Godzilla Awakening and does a really good job at explaining the plot, and does a really good job at explaining the inconsistencies or the continuity errors between this graphic novel and the movie. So, but what I will say is that this comic book wasn't really the best, to be honest. I wasn't necessarily a fan of it actually back in the day, and I wasn't really a fan of it now. The story was really hard to follow. It just seemed like things were going really fast, and I don't know if that's just because of the way the panel layout was with the comic and all that. It just seemed very quick. Like every panel there was like, oh, we're in a new location, and we were like time jumping like all over the place, and I mean, it was like many years ahead and then many years behind, and it was like, oh my god, it was hard to follow, to be honest. So when it comes to the story, I don't remember much, but pretty much to sum it up, I could say is that this is basically how Dr. Serizawa finds out Godzilla and learns that he's the great equalizer, the nature balance guy, and that, you know, he wants to have Godzilla fight all of these creatures that are, you know, making nature unbalanced and all that stuff, and everyone doesn't believe him. And I think if I remember, the graphic novel ends on the part where it's like the 50s and they actually, you know, try to kill Godzilla with the nuke. So that famous scene at the beginning of Godzilla 2014, the opening scene, which I hope they will actually show more in this Monarch Legacy of Monster scenes, because it looks like that's going to be a big part of it. So but yeah, that's kind of, it's just sort of really quick, like, and a lot of like the Shimu, or whatever the enemy character is, this ghost like kaiju thing, I mean, just really kind of comes out of nowhere. I don't know if I missed it or whatever, like how this thing really came about, but you know, another just ancient thing with Godzilla and blah blah blah. I mean, again, the story goes by super quick, and it was just kind of hard to follow. It was just a very fast-paced comic, and I couldn't follow it that well. I also wasn't a fan of really the art style, the way the comic looks. It just looked too, I don't really know how to describe it. It just was messy. That's the best word that I can describe it. It was just like a messy sort of illustrations. Godzilla looks all right in some of the parts, but he doesn't really look that great in other parts. So I don't know, there's like this one shot where Godzilla's like shooting his atomic breath like straight on into you know, to you, the viewer, and it just looks kind of off, you know. So overall, I'm not too thrilled with the comic. I don't think it really was the best thing. I know, if I remember back then when I first read it before 2014 came out, it obviously got me hyped for the film, but there was a lot of things that I was hyped about when that film was coming out, so, you know, the comic book was one thing. So yeah, Godzilla Awakening, not necessarily the best thing. Also, the fact that a lot of the story beats and plot elements are sort of mute at this point, because the movie sort of contradicts a lot of the things that the comic said. So it's sort of this, in this like weird alternate universe of the MonsterVerse, sort of things that go on, events or whatnot. So, but yeah, it's it wasn't really the most enjoyable read, because again, it was just really hard to follow, and I felt like I was just either reading too fast or I don't know, like it was weird. So that's it. That's pretty much my thoughts, review for Godzilla Awakening. Not really necessarily the best comic out there, and yeah. So currently I am reading the official novelization for Godzilla 2014. So give me a bit to finish reading that, and then I will give my thoughts on that. That's it for this video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of Godzilla Awakening, if you remember it back in the day or if you've picked it up recently. I don't know, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and that'll do it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, stay big, G fans.